The Worldwide Space Station or ISS was made after the Cold War by the US. What's more, Russia as a symbol of cooperation between the two countries. It is an exploration office where the team deals with investigating medication, innovation, and space investigation. Right up till now, American and Russian space astronauts have cooperated in the ISS in perfect together no matter what their political suppositions. Utilizing the Soyuz rocket transport, American space astronauts Kira and Christian travel to the ISS as they dock with the station. Christian explains that the Russians thump multiple times to tell the others it is okay. When they get inside, they meet the rest of the team. Superior Gordon, Veronica, and brothers Nikolai and Alexei. Gordon is American while the other three are Russian. Veronica has been in the station for 50 days and Kira sees that she's exceptionally close with Gordon. She is an extremely certain lady and demands the most rule is to remain together. After a warm gladly received, Gordon gives Kira a tour of the area, including her sleeping quarters. He clarifies that at first learning for rest will be a battle. A few space astronauts rest tied in a bag while others have figured out how to float in their quarters. Gordon encourages her to utilize a camping bed until she is okay. He likewise brings up that the murmur they continually hear is the existence emotionally supportive system. Assuming that it at any point quits making noise, it implies they are in a tough situation. Next, Gordon acquaints her with her workstation and the lock boxes to get their research, giving her a key for the American locks. She is permitted to utilize Russian cupboards as well, however then she should exchange keys. Kira promptly will sort out and brings a couple of mice into an enclosure to check them for her tests. Alexei sees this and remarks that they'll be working right up front. Nearness for some time because their workstations are close to one another. Kira has read his research also, gets some information about his experiments. However, Alexei explains he has lost all his mice. After she moves to the following room, Alexei sees her setup. Afterward, while a portion of the group works out, Kira watches Christian experiment with a drill that can splash fire, which is great yet in addition frightening. During supper, Christian offers a few gifts from Earth and Nikolai draws out a jug of liquor. Kira unintentionally attempts to open it ordinarily, making air pockets of liquor float nearby and make everybody giggle. A short time later the team goes to the survey deck, where Kira gets to see an astounding view of Earth. The team discusses the outline impact, which is this otherworldly arousing a few astronauts go through when they notice Earth without lines and humanity to be one. That evening, Kira sees one of the guys sleeping floating and can't resist the urge to get pretty restless. Fortunately, Veronica solaces her and helps her tie herself to the bag for her most memorable evening. Referencing the hardest part of staying in bed space is having no one to hold. The following morning, the team starts working early. Christian tries to utilizing the PC, however the sign is down so they can't receive messages out. Kira looks her mice and finds they have attacked after one another. Yet, she can't explain why. Feeling down, she goes to the check deck to view Earth, just to see an enormous ejection. At first she contemplates whether it's a well of volcano ejecting and tells the others. However, soon a few blasts begin occurring in many spots with hardly a pause in between. Overreacting, the team quickly leaves the deck and closes it prior to attempting to reach out to Earth without much of any result. Out of nowhere, Gordon receives a message from Mission Control advising him to stay quiet since it is grouped information. It turns out the US and Russia are at war. Also, the contribution of different nations is being researched. The US government needs its residents to cut short all experiment and assume command over the station, no holds barred. In his own, Nikolai likewise receives a message and Gordon contemplates whether he's gotten a comparative order. Apprehensive, he answers to the message with why, however at that point the power goes out. Just to return a second, Gordon pretend he was unable to contact Earth, however when he gets some private area with Kira and Christian he comes clean with them. Christian quickly expects the Russians got the same orders and blame them for the blackout. Yet Gordon tells him not to rush to make judgment calls, what's more, to wait for the time being. Then Veronica declares they have a major issue. The station has lost its inner impetus and is dropping out of orbit, and that implies they just have a day prior to the whole station will burn in the environment. There's a notice of utilizing the Soyuz rocket to get away, yet, it needs more space for everybody and just triggers a contention. Kira carries a message mentioning drive and expectations. Mission Control will get it in time. So until further notice they can just wait. Out of nowhere, Alexei tells the team that a receiving wire outside the station is damaged and should be fixed physically. Christian grunts since he believes it's completely false. However, Gordon volunteers to go at any rate. While he gets ready, Veronica kisses him for good luck. Christian cautiously murmurs his interests about this being a trap. However, Gordon swears he confides in everybody in this team. When Gordon heads outside, he is appalled to see the US is currently the shade of radiant red, meaning his country is destroyed in a blaze. Utilizing the comms, he asks Kira to get everybody far from the windows. Meantime, Christian and Alexei attempt to talk, yet the state of mind is tense and distrustful. Alexei then says he is going to the washroom. Yet when Christian is no more, he emerges and opens a board. He prepares to cut a few wires, yet he wavers. Back to Gordon. He cautiously moves around the station while Kira takes to him to keep him quiet. After a few minutes of exceptionally sluggish space strolling, Gordon is nearly at the receiving wire. Yet at that point Alexei cuts the wire and Gordon loses correspondence with the station. When Kira cautions the others, Christian promptly sees that Alexei isn't anywhere near and races to check the boards. However, Alexei takes care of his damage with fake wires and Christian tracks down anything. Then Gordon sees his tie isn't sufficiently long to arrive at the radio wire, so he must choose the option to separate it. Making an extremely dangerous yet determined jump, Gordon at long last arrives at the receiving wire, just to find it's okay and Christian was correct. At that point Nikolai initiates the grabber arm also, smacks Gordon off the station, sending him floating through space. Kira and Veronica start to overreact when they can't speak with Gordon or see him on the cameras. Christian checks the windows and sees Gordon float away, so they race to pull the tie in just to think that it is empty. Upset, Kira conceals in her room while attempting to manage her sadness. When Christian comes to see her, Kira says she needs to go out and find Gordon because the suit ought to keep him alive for a couple hours, yet Christian guarantees her it's silly. He likewise reprimands her for thinking it was a mishap when it is very clear that the Russians acted first. Meantime Veronica stands up to Alexei and Nikolai and learns reality. They got orders from Russia to dispose of the Americans. Furthermore, assume control over the ISS. Anyway, Alexei swears he simply needed to cut off the comms and didn't have the foggiest idea Nikolai's expectations. To guard himself, Nikolai says the Americans would do likewise to them, but a frightened Veronica calls him a monster. Like Kira, she needs to go out and track down Gordon, yet all at once the siblings will not help. Crushed, Veronica goes into one more space to have a breakdown. Later Veronica requests that Kira talk in private because Kira is the only one she can trust since she is new. Veronica tells Kira trade keys, and when Kira says she has lost hers, Veronica can tell she's lying. Then the two ladies concede they've gotten orders from the government and Veronica concedes the siblings killed Gordon, which causes Kira to consent to help. Veronica has an arrangement. She'll make an interruption while Kira utilizes the Russian key to strike Alexei's box, which contains tests that could be utilized to treat radiation harming. Earth is going through a nuclear war and their nations believe that their research should involve it as a definitive negotiating concession. Yet Veronica thinks fixes ought to be for everybody. She additionally calls attention to that the main examples are put away in Node 0. After they exchange keys, Veronica takes the discharge drill firearm and turns on pure oxygen in one of the chambers, taking steps to explode everything. While Nikolai and Alexei attempt to calm her down, Kira goes to the research lab and starts looking for Node 0. However, she can't track down it. She asks Christian about it and Christian tells her there is nothing of the sort. Accepting Veronica live, an irate Kira goes to find her and Christian follows her. The team comes to the next room with perfect timing to see Veronica hit Alexei with a wrench. Christian purposes this interruption to crush a tank toward the back of Veronica's head, in a split second killing her. Alexei and Nikolai are crushed as Christian attempts to let them know he had no way out because she planned to explode the station. While Alexei and Nikolai grieves Veronica, Christian persuades Kira to stow away until interchanges work once more. Ultimately Nikolai snaps and declares he is finishing this truckload of, referring to it as his duty, on Earth. Flames and destruction keep on spreading. Alexei chooses to drink to neglect and when he looks at the screens, he finds Gordon is floating close by yet alive, so he right away utilizes the grabber arm to bring him back inside cautiously. Meantime Kira and Christian are hiding away in the bags. When Nikolai begins looking through that area, Christian tosses his squirm toy to send him the other way. Kira utilizes the opportunity to emerge and finds Alexei, who helps her conceal in an alternate spot and misleads his sibling. At that point the toy floats by once more and Nikolai at last finds Christian, so he takes him out to whip him, just for Alexei to get hit rather when he attempts to stop him. Then Kira handles Nikolai to free Christian, so Nikolai snatches her instead and begins stifling her. Abruptly Gordon appears and thumps Nikolai down with the drill. Next he asks about Veronica and flips out when he learns she is dead. Enraged, he secures himself with Nikolai and a fight results. As the men battle against each other and toss a couple of punches, Gordon loses the drill and is gotten by Nikolai, who turns it on as he skewers Gordon. With the remainder of his solidarity, Gordon gets a screwdriver from Nikolai's pocket and stabs him in the neck. When the others figure out how to open the door with a drill, it was too late. The two men are dead and their bodies are floating in the room. While the world keeps on burning, the excess astronomical pause for a minute to lament in private. In a little while, Kira checks the PC and sees they are losing height. As she moves around the station, she tracks down a sign that says Node 0, meaning the person who lied was Christian and not Veronica. She races to his room to request a clarification and finds every one of the examples all set with and get away from suit. It appears to be Christian knew everything from the start and has consistently intended to escape alone. At that point the existence support ventilation goes out as a component of Christian's plan. Kira searches for Alexei to caution him. Yet he is in a similar room as Christian, so she makes a few signals to inquire him to switch off the music. Alexei does so and understands the murmur can't be heard. Then she utilizes a container to thump on the table multiple times as a sign for Alexei to be prepared. Christian is making himself a sandwich and Kira attempts to get the knife to make one as well. So Christian attempts to dispose of Alexei, saying they need privacy. When Alexei won't go, Christian snatches the knife also, tries to go after Kira, yet Alexei cuts in and his hand winds up wounded instead. Being so close, Alexei figures out how to snatch Christian firmly and holds him set up while Kira utilizes a necklace to stifle him. Following a couple of moments, Christian at last dies, and Kira needs to manage the reality she killed somebody. Subsequently, Kira gauzes up Alexei's stab injury and is ready to turn on the life support once more. Then Kira checks her mice and finds Alexei constructed them a net for them to clutch. Out of nowhere, the message demand for an impetus support is at last recognized, getting them out of impending risk. Before interchanges return and the two government as to whether they have taken control of the station, furious and baffled by their leaders, the couple ignores the messages also, utilizes the Soyuz rocket to leave the station with Alexei's research. As they plunge into free fall back to Earth, Alexei asks where they're going that could be protected. However, Kira can't really understand. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.